When do we live? We live in the present. But wait, the present is no longer the present, as it's now the past. When is the present? When is now? We can say, for example, the present is this hour, the hour in which you are living. But there are problems with that, as we don't live a minute from now, we live in this minute. And we don't live a second from now, we live in this current second. We also don't live half a second from now, or 1/8th, or 1/16th, or so on. You can continue to divide this measurement as far as you like, but is there a literal smallest time that you can consider the present? Well, sort of. In our physical universe, as far as we know, the Planck length is the shortest measurable possible length. We cannot measure anything smaller. Also, there is the speed of light, the fastest possible speed. The time it takes for something moving at the speed of light to travel one Planck length is the Planck time, the most brief period of time that we can measure based on our own physical laws. So, is this it then? Each individual Planck time that passes by is what we should consider as the present? Well, no, not that either. Don't mistake the Planck time as the briefest period of time in general. It's the briefest measurable period of time. We can just use half a Planck time, or half of that, or half of that. No matter what, we can always cut whichever time it may be in half. So, when do we exist? Clearly not the past, as that's already gone. Clearly not the future, as that's not here yet. And clearly not the present, as what we consider as the present is an infinitely brief moment that doesn't even properly exist within what we consider our timeline. The idea that we can properly comprehend the present isn't entirely factual. Our minds only ever think of either the future or the past at one specific given moment. What we know as the present has no bearing on our everyday thought process. We are quite evidently moving through time based on our consciousness and awareness of it. Any specific given moment in the future is getting ever closer. But what about the future? More specifically, is the future itself changeable? This is really just a free will versus fate argument, but I've came up with an interesting paradox to consider when on the topic. Imagine you've been given a device, one that could tell you the future. Now, let's suppose that you came to a crossroad. You can either go left or right. The device itself says that you'll be going down the right path, but in seeing that, you decide that you would like to change the future. You, instead of choosing the right path, go down the left path. No issue, right? Well, here's the paradox. If the device could truly tell the future, it would have known that you were going to change your mind, and display that you took the left path. But because it shows that you were going to take the left path, you decide that you are going to take the right path. But if the device could truly tell the future, it would have known that you were going to change your mind from the right to the left to right, displaying that you take the left path. But because it shows that you're going to take the left path, you take the right path, and so on and so forth. This is what I call the future telling paradox. So which path did you take? Couldn't have been either, as no matter what, your mind would have always been changed by the future, but in doing so, the future is still what it is. To what point is it really safe to say that we can change the future, when by the definition of future, it's unchangeable? If you were set by fate to go down the right path, then that's the one you would have taken. The only way this paradox works is if we are given preemptive knowledge of the future, so the device. Let me bring up a very famous paradox to better explain the consequences of the future telling paradox. The grandfather paradox is one that you may have heard of before. Pretty simple. A boy goes back in time and kills his grandfather. In doing so, he can no longer be born, meaning he couldn't have gone back to kill his grandfather. The reason why this is a paradox is because the timeline where the boy was born could never exist. The grandfather is now dead. If you allow the idea of time travel in the first place, then no matter what you go back and try to fix, it would have already been set in place in your own timeline. Going back in time and fixing something would erase the timeline you came from, meaning no one would ever have a reason to go back in time, because whichever problem it would be, you would have already gone back and fixed it. If you want to get scientific about fate, it's not that hard to answer. Let's put it like this. When you watch this video, for example, you'll always be given the same thing. No matter how many times you watch it, nothing about this video will change. The code used to play this video is the same, no matter when you watch it. In the same way, if you took 5 minutes from someone's day and played it from the beginning, the atom's position will always be in the same place. Starting life from 10 minutes ago would give the same result as if you started life an hour ago. The same decisions and actions will be acted out, as everything would be in place for it to do so. To give one last example of this, let's say you had to make a choice between water and milk. There are many different factors affecting your decision, but no matter which one you choose, it's because of those factors. If you went back to a time before you made the decision, the same factors would still fall in place for you to have made that same choice. This is why I believe in fate. I've thought about it a lot, and this is my reasoning. And the thing is, I'm not bothered by it. I understand that many people don't like the idea that you don't make your own decisions, but you have to remember that you're not conscious of it. Everything you do and say feels like our own choice. And really, they still are our own choices. It just so happens that we're going to make that decision either way. So next time you're deciding between chocolate and vanilla ice cream, just remember that you already made the choice, and you're going to enjoy it either way.